Indiana Jones is back on the big screen where he belongs, an iconic character getting his fifth installment in a franchise. We haven't seen Indiana Jones on the big screen since 2008's Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Now, that film left a bad taste in my mouth, so I always hoped that Harrison Ford would reprise his role as Indiana Jones, give us one last outing, and then truly ride out into the sunset like he did perfectly in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. James Mangold does take over the director's chair from Steven Spielberg in this entry, and I'm kind of mixed on James Mangold at times. I think he's a really good director. I'm not a huge fan of Ford v Ferrari, and Logan, while I didn't like the first time I watched it in theaters, I have rewatched several times, and that movie has grown on me quite a bit, and I actually really love Logan a lot. With James Mangold in the director's chair, I was, of course, really excited for Dial of Destiny, but also being an Indiana Jones fan, I was super excited to go back into the world of Indiana Jones and see how this older, grizzled, like, Indiana Jones looks like in today's world, and see how it played on the big screen. And I was so super excited and kind of nervous because of the last installment kind of left that bad taste in my mouth. Before I get started, my name is Adam. Make sure you guys leave your comments of Dial of Destiny and whether you guys liked it or not liked it in that comments section down below. We'd love to have a good conversation down there in the comments section. So let's talk about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny now. It does kick off with this really good 30-minute scene of a flashback of Indiana Jones in the 1940s. He gets captured by the Nazis. He's on this train as well, trying to track down an artifact, of course. And we see our villain, played by Mads Mikkelsen, and he will be a recurring character in this movie. But he has this dial, and it has some kind of mystical powers, and Indiana Jones gets caught up into this different world back in the Nazis in the 1940s. Then it flashes forward to today's time, or at least the time of the film, and we see kind of an older, aging Dr. Jones, and he is about to retire from the university of where he teaches. We're also introduced to this young woman named Helena, who is played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who kind of sucks Dr. Jones into this adventure that he wasn't really expecting or really wanting, to be honest. But it's all about Archimedes' dial, and I honestly cannot pronounce what the actual dial is called, but that's where the Dial of Destiny does come in. First off, like I said, I was super excited to watch another Indiana Jones movie on the big screen. I think Harrison Ford in this one does a really good job portraying that grizzled, old, kind of older, beat-up, Indiana Jones character. I do like what they do in this movie, without going into spoilers, really, because my biggest question walking into this one was, what did they do with Shia LaBeouf from the last one, and what happened to Karen Allen? She wasn't even in the advertisement. He wasn't in the advertising. Do they tie something in? Do they mention them at least in this movie? And I will say, if you have those questions, you will get answers to where's Mutt Williams, Shia LaBeouf's character, and also Karen Allen, too. I liked what they did with those little mentions there. And like I said, Harrison Ford is just iconic in this role. And even though he's older and aging in this role, I think it still feels like a natural progression of the story where he is introduced here and gets kind of sucked into another adventure. And I dig it. The opening 30 minutes of the scene when you flash back to 1940, they do use that DH technology there, and that's where it does look a little wonky. It looks like there's just like a little face over another actor. It is not as great as it should be. Maybe they should use deepfake, but overall, that opening segment, if you can get past the CGI there, I think it actually plays really well. Some really intense sequencing and good set pieces there, and I like kind of the introduction to Mads Mikkelsen's character as well. I think that's really kind of a good way to start off the movie, and I'm really kind of on the edge of my seat during those sequences. I just feel that the de-aging technology, it can become wonky, but it's not the worst CGI I've seen this year. I think some of that goes to The Flash a little bit, but overall, a really fun, intense opening to the film is those first 30 minutes. And when we get back into the present day Indiana Jones storyline, I think the opening of you see old man Indiana Jones, that's really an interesting take on it. I liked how we get sucked into his world where he's actually teaching class again, and seeing the corresponding bookends to how Raiders of the Lost Ark is he's perceived there as the hunk professor, and now he's a little older now in this film, and he's looked at as the boring professor. I love that little side by side there. I think that's really fun and interesting kind of callback. Even though I'm super excited for that first act, some of the second act does kind of fall down, and where it kind of can't find its balance. It has a really good set pieces, but they kind of bleed together with other set pieces in the middle act. And I think there's a lot of different quirkiness to Helena's character, Phoebe Waller-Bridge plays, that comes across as really snarky and kind of unlikable at times. And I wasn't a huge fan of her character throughout the whole entire runtime. We also see Antonio Banderas appear in this movie for two scenes maybe, but there's a really cool scene with him. They go underwater, and there's a really cool eel scene in there that I really dug, and it actually kind of comes across rather creepy. So I really like that little underwater sequence they do in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And that third act here is another thing that's going to be highly contested among fans of Indiana Jones or just casual moviegoers alike, because you're gonna be on board for it because you can turn your brain off at that point, or you're gonna be like, what the heck just happened? I'm more likely to buy this ending than the aliens in the last movie. If you haven't seen Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I'm sorry about that, but needless to say, I do think that this ending is interesting. It kind of works. It's a big swing, and I necessarily don't think it's a home run. I don't think it's a swing and a miss either. I think it's probably a good little in the gap double, and that he barely makes the double, but he gets in there nonetheless. So I think it works for me in my disbelief, because I am seeing an aging actor play a character that does a lot of crazy stunts now. I've been sitting on my thoughts for this movie for a couple days now, and my biggest thing is I just don't know how to rate the film. Is it a 3-star film? Because I did enjoy myself, but there's also things that I wanted them to improve, especially being a James Mangold film and being the last Indiana Jones film, air quotes here, but being the last one of these movies. We just saw Hugh Jackman play Wolverine for the air quotes last time in Logan, and that movie ended that character really well, but I wish the ending for Indiana Jones would be a better wrap-up and send-off to this iconic character, considering he's been playing this role since the 80s. Indiana Jones has always been a special place in my heart because he's one of my childhood favorite actors, and also one of my childhood favorite characters too. And rewatching all the movies, I had a big smile on my face the entire time. And seeing one of my favorite actors, Harrison Ford, reprise his role of Indiana Jones and giving this one big hurrah, I wish the ending was a little more cleaner and had a better send-off like Hugh Jackman did in Wolverine. Necessarily we don't get that. It's still exciting, and I liked where the character does end in Dial of Destiny, but it's just one of those movies that I can see liking more after another rewatch, or maybe not liking as much with another one. I really loved watching this on the big screen, and I think that's where you should see it. There's just some issues and minor hiccups that along the way that it doesn't get me quite to being so positive on it, and I do want to watch this movie again and give it another shot, because it's an Indiana Jones movie, and I just gotta watch it multiple times, even if I don't care for a lot of pieces, because there's still some worthy things in here to talk about and discuss. Anyway, guys, that's my quick thoughts on Dial of Destiny. What did you guys think? Where did you want Indiana Jones to go? And do you think that they should make another entry in this franchise and give Harrison Ford one more last hurrah? Let me know in the comments section down below. And again, my name is Adam of Almost Sideways, and I would love to have a nice, lively conversation in that comment section with you guys. And make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on our podcast as well. All those links are in the show notes down below. Until next time, guys, bust out the bow whip and the fedora, and we'll see you next time.